I found them in our bed. My husband Kevin and my so-called best friend Jasmine, tangled up in sheets I had
just washed that morning.
He married her 6 months later, right there in the same Brooklyn brownstone we had bought together. But when I walked into their baby shower 2 years later with our 4 identical sons and my $1 million fashion business, girl, that's when he realized he had messed with the wrong black woman. But let me back up because you need to understand how I got here. How a girl from Harlem went from broken
to blessed.
From devastated to decorated. From wife to warrior. My name is Tiffany Williams, and 5 years ago, I thought I had it all figured out. I was 28, working as a junior designer at Maven Fashion House in Manhattan, and married to Kevin Thompson, the man I thought was my soul work. We met at Howard University, fell in love over late-night study sessions, and dreams of making it big. In New York, he wanted to be a real estate mogul. I wanted to see my designs on runways. We moved to New York together right after graduation. Found a tiny apartment in Crown Heights that we could barely afford. But we were happy, you know?
Or at least I thought we were.
Kevin was working at a commercial real estate firm in Midtown, climbing that corporate ladder. I was putting in 60-hour weeks at Maven, trying to prove myself in an industry that already had enough barriers for black women. Baby, when you gonna slow down? Kevin would say, lounging on our couch while I sketched designs at 2 a.m. You're always working. That's how you make it in fashion, I'd reply, not looking up from my sketches. You think Dapper Dan got where he is by taking it easy? Kevin would shake his head. I just miss spending time with you. I should have heard what he wasn't saying. I should have seen the warning signs.
But I was so focused on my
dreams, on proving I could make it, that I missed what was happening right in front of me. 3 years into our marriage, I got pregnant. We weren't exactly planning it, but Kevin seemed excited. Little Thompson, he'd say, rubbing my barely there belly. Our legacy. But then things got complicated. I started having severe morning sickness. Couldn't keep anything down.
My
Dr. Patricia Monroe at Mount Sinai looked concerned during my 8-week checkup. Tiffany, your hormone levels are unusually high, she said, studying my blood work. I want to do an ultrasound. I lay on that examination table, Kevin holding my hand, watching the screen. Dr. Monroe moved the wand around my belly, her expression shifting from concentration to surprise. Well, she said slowly, that explains the hormone levels. Tiffany, you're having multiples.
Twins.
Kevin asked, his voice tight. Dr. Monroe smiled. Actually, I'm counting 4 distinct heartbeats. You're having quadruplets. The room spun. For babies? 4? I looked at Kevin, expecting to see joy, excitement, anything positive. Instead, I saw something that chilled me to my core.
Fear.
And something else. Resentment. 4 babies, he repeated, his voice flat. He dropped my hand. You know what? Let me ask you something. If your partner reacted like that to news about your babies, what would you do? Would you have seen it as the red flag it was? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because looking back, that was the moment everything changed. And if you're relating to this story, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Kevin became distant. He worked later hours, came home smelling like perfume that wasn't mine, made excuses about important client meetings and networking events. I was exhausted from the pregnancy, terrified about having 4 babies, and trying to hold onto my position at Maven Fashion House. My boss, Richard Chen, had made it clear that pregnancy was inconvenient timing. With New York Fashion Week approaching, Tiffany, I need to know you're committed, Richard said during a meeting in his corner office overlooking 5th Avenue. This is a crucial time for the company. I'm committed, I assured him, even as my body was growing for humans. I can work from home if needed. My designs for the spring collection are almost complete. But Kevin wasn't making it easier. One night, about 4 months into my pregnancy, I came home early from work. I had a terrible headache, and Dr. Monroe had warned me about preeclampsia symptoms. I needed to rest. I walked into our bedroom and froze. Kevin was there. So was Jasmine Carter, my best friend since college. My maid of honor, the woman I had cried to about my pregnancy fears just days before. They didn't hear me at first. They were too wrapped up in each other, in our bed, in sheets I had washed that morning before leaving for work. I must have made a sound because Kevin's head snapped up. His eyes met mine. For a second, nobody moved. Then Jasmine grabbed the sheet, covering herself. Tiffany, I can explain.
Get out, I said.
My voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from somewhere else.
Both of you get out.
Baby, wait, Kevin started. I said get out. I screamed it this time, my hands instinctively going to my belly, protecting my babies from this nightmare. Jasmine scrambled to get dressed and ran past me without looking at my face. Kevin sat on the edge of our bed, his head in his hands. How long? I asked, still standing in the doorway. Tiff.
How long?
6 months, he whispered. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of him touching her while coming home to me, while I was carrying his children. I want you out, I said. Tonight. Kevin looked up at me then, and what I saw in his face broke something in me that I didn't know could break. There was no remorse, no guilt, just irritation. You're never home anyway, he said, his voice hard. Always working, always too tired. What did you expect? I stared at this man I had loved, had married, had built a life with, and realized I didn't know him at all. I expected you to be a man of your word, I said quietly. I expected you to honor the vows you made to me.
I
expected you to be excited about our children instead of resentful. But you know what, Kevin? You're right.
I deserve better than this.
Real talk, have you ever had a moment where you just knew you deserved better? Where something clicked and you realized your worth? Because that was my moment. If you've been there, drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're following along with my story. Kevin packed a bag that night. He left without another word. I sat on our couch, for months pregnant with quadruplets, and cried until I had no tears left. The next morning, I called my lawyer, filed for divorce. Then I called my mama in Harlem. Mama, I need to come home, I said when she answered. Baby girl, what's wrong? Is it the babies? It's Kevin. My voice broke. He was with Jasmine, in our bed. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Then my mother, Gloria Williams, said in a voice I had only heard a few times in my life, "You pack your things. I'm coming to get you right now." My mama didn't raise no fool, but she also didn't raise a quitter. She showed up at my Crown Heights apartment 2 hours later with my brother Marcus, my Aunt Dee, and 3 of her church sisters. They packed up my entire life in 4 hours. You don't need nothing that man touched, Auntie said, throwing Kevin's pillow out the window. Fresh start, baby. Fresh start. I moved back to my childhood home in Harlem, into my old bedroom with the purple walls I had painted in high school. At 28, for months pregnant with quadruplets, I was starting over. The divorce was ugly. Kevin fought me on everything. The brownstone, the savings, even my car. His lawyer painted me as an obsessed career woman who neglected her marriage. Your client was never home. Kevin's attorney, some slick-talking brother named Derek Mills, argued in family court. She prioritized work over her marriage. My client felt abandoned. My lawyer, Simone Baker, a sharp sister from Queens, didn't even blink. So your client's response to feeling lonely was to commit adultery with the plaintiff's best friend in the marital home while his wife was pregnant with his children. The judge, an older black woman named Judge Patricia Henderson, looked at Kevin with pure disgust. Mr. Thompson, I've been on this bench for 20 years, and the excuses never change. Divorce granted. Mrs. Thompson gets the brownstone, half of all marital assets, and child support for 4 children will be established upon their birth. Kevin's face went red. For kids I didn't even want. The courtroom went silent. Judge Henderson leaned forward. "Excuse me?" Kevin's lawyer grabbed his arm. "But the damage was done. I mean, I wasn't ready for 4." "Noted," Judge Henderson said coldly. "I'm also awarding Mrs. Thompson full legal and physical custody with supervised visitation for you, Mr. Thompson, pending further evaluation. A man who doesn't want his children in open court is a man who doesn't get unsupervised access to them. This court is adjourned." I walked out of that courthouse 6 months pregnant, broke but not broken. I had the brownstone, but I also had a mortgage I couldn't afford on my junior designer salary. I had full custody of babies that weren't born yet.
And
I had a career that was about to fire me. Richard Chin called me 2 days after the court hearing. "Tiffany, we need to talk about your position." I knew what was coming. "I'm being let go. We're making cuts. Your role is being eliminated." "I'm sorry." I hung up without another word. Sat in my childhood bedroom in my mama's house, unemployed, divorced, and about to have 4 babies. Have you ever felt like the universe was testing you? Like everything that could go wrong was going wrong all at once? Tell me in the comments how you got through it, because I needed every bit of strength I had for what came next. And if this story is resonating with you, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Dr. Monroe had warned me that quadruplet pregnancies were high risk, but nothing prepared me for what happened at 28 weeks. I was at my mama's house, folding tiny baby clothes that church sisters had donated, when I felt it. A sharp pain, then wetness spreading down my legs. "Mama," I called out, my voice shaking. Everything happened fast after that. The ambulance. Mount Sinai's NICU. Doctors rushing around. My mama, holding my hand, praying. "We need to do an emergency C-section," Dr. Monroe said. "The babies are in distress." I was terrified. 28 weeks was too early. Way too early.
but I didn't have a choice.
They put me under, and when I woke up, my mama was crying. Happy tears this time. "You have 4 sons," she whispered. 4 beautiful baby boys. Caleb, Carter, Cameron, and Chase. Each one barely 4 pounds, covered in tubes and wires, fighting for their lives in the NICU. But they were mine. All mine. Kevin never came to the hospital. Not once in the 8 weeks my boys stayed in the NICU. Not when Caleb had breathing problems. Not when Carter needed blood transfusions. Not when I sat in that hospital day after day, pumping milk and praying my babies would be strong enough to come home. But you know who did come? My mama, my brother Marcus,
Aunt Dee,
my church family, and random women from my neighborhood who had heard my story, who brought me food and encouragement, and reminded me that Black women had been doing hard things alone forever. "Baby," an older sister from Macedonia Baptist Church told me one day, "You got the strength of your ancestors
in you."
Single Black mothers been raising kings since the beginning of time. Your boys are blessed to have
you.
By the time my sons came home, I had made a decision. I wasn't going to just survive. I was going to build something. Something that would provide for my boys and prove to myself that Kevin Thompson didn't break
me.
I started designing again. Late at night after feeding and changing 4 babies, I sketched. During their naps, I
sewed.
I created a collection of streetwear that celebrated Black culture, Black excellence, Black resilience. I called it Heritage Threads. Using the settlement money for my divorce, I launched an online store. Posted my designs on Instagram. Used hashtags like hashtag Black-owned business, hashtag support Black designers, hashtag Harlem fashion. The first month, I made $200. The second month, $500. But then something happened. A popular Black influencer, Nia Johnson, posted a photo wearing one of my hoodies. The caption said, "Supporting this amazing Black woman designer from Harlem who's raising 4 sons alone. This is what Black girl magic looks like." At Heritage Threads, my phone exploded. Orders poured in. I couldn't keep up. My mama watched the boys while I sewed. My brother helped me pack orders. Aunt Dee managed my Instagram. Within 6 months, Heritage Threads was making $10,000 a month. Within a year, $50,000. I hired seamstresses from the neighborhood, rented a small studio space in Harlem, launched a full collection. By the time my boys were 18 months old, I was featured in Essence magazine's 30 Under 30 issue. The headline read, "From Heartbreak to Haute, How Tiffany Williams Built a Fashion Empire." That's when Kevin saw it. That's when he realized what he had walked away from. And that's when he sent me something that made my blood run cold. An invitation to his and Jasmine's baby shower. Part 2 coming next. Want to know what happened at that baby shower? Drop a part 2 in the
comments.
And if you're invested in Tiffany's journey, smash that like button and subscribe because this story is about to get real interesting. So there I was, sitting in my Harlem studio office, surrounded by fabric samples and sketches for my fall collection, when the cream-colored envelope arrived. Hand-delivered by some courier service. Expensive. Cardstock. Gold embossed lettering. I knew what it was before I even opened it. Kevin and Jasmine Thompson request the honor of your presence at a celebration for their baby girl Saturday, June 15th, 2 p.m. The Plaza Hotel, Manhattan. I stared at that invitation for a full minute. Then I read the handwritten note at the bottom, in Kevin's familiar scrawl.
Hope to see you there.
Would love for you to meet the woman who knew what family really means.
Girl, let me tell you something.
I sat there with that invitation in my hands, and I felt something shift inside me.
Not
anger. Not hurt. Something colder. Something more powerful.
Clarity.
My assistant, Keisha, walked into my office with coffee and stopped when she saw my face. Tiff.
What's
wrong? I handed her the invitation. Keisha read it, her eyes getting wider with each word. Oh, hell no. Hell no. This man did not.
He did.
I leaned back in my chair, a smile slowly spreading across my face. He absolutely did. You're not actually thinking about going? I looked at Keisha, this beautiful young sister from the Bronx who had believed in Heritage Threads when it
was just me and a dream.
Oh, I'm definitely going. Tiff. They want to see what a real family looks like? I stood up, walking to my office window that overlooked 125th Street. My street. My neighborhood. My empire. I'm going to show them exactly what a real woman becomes when you try to break her. Y'all ever had a moment where someone tried to play you, and you just knew you had to show up and show out? When you had to let them see what they lost? Drop a comment if you've been there, because I was about to give Kevin Thompson the surprise of his life. And if you're here for this energy, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Over the next 2 weeks, I planned, not in anger, but with purpose. I called my lawyer, Simone Baker. I need to modify the custody agreement, I told her.
Why?
What's going on? Kevin doesn't know about the boys. I mean, he knows I had them, but he's never met them. Never paid a dime of child support despite the court order. Never tried to see them. Simone was quiet for a moment. Tiffany, are you sure you want to do this? Opening that door. He's their father.
They're 2 years old now.
They deserve to know who he is, even if he's a disappointment. And he needs to take responsibility. All right, Simone said slowly. But we do this legally. DNA test, official custody modification, back child, support. All of it. That's exactly what I want. Next, I called my mama. Told her my plan. Gloria Williams was quiet on the phone for a long time. Then she said, "Baby girl, are you doing this for the boys or for revenge?"
I thought about that. Really thought about it.
Mama, I'm doing it because those 4 boys ask me every day where their daddy is. They see their cousins with fathers. They see families on TV. And I don't have an answer for them anymore. Kevin walked away, but they didn't. They deserve to know him, even if he doesn't deserve them. All right then, Mama said. We'll go with you. Me, Marcus, and Auntie. Those babies need their family around them. The morning of the baby shower, I woke up at 5 a.m.
Couldn't sleep.
I stood in my brownstone, The same one Kevin had tried to take from me, the same one I had renovated with my fashion money and watched my 4 sons sleep in their matching beds. Caleb, my firstborn by 2 minutes, slept with his thumb in his mouth. Carter, the fighter who spent the longest in NICU, sprawled across his bed like he owned it. Cameron, my sensitive one, clutched his stuffed lion.
And
Chase, my youngest, my surprise, slept curled up like he was still in my womb. They looked just like Kevin. Same dark brown eyes, same dimples, same smile. There was no denying whose sons they were. "Mama's going to introduce you to your daddy today," I whispered to their sleeping forms. "And he's going to wish he had never let us go." I dressed them in matching outfits I had designed. Royal blue button-ups with tan pants and tiny bow ties. They looked like little men, like princes. I dressed in a custom heritage threads dress, emerald green silk that hugged every curve I had earned back after having 4 babies. My locks, which I had started growing after Kevin left, cascaded down my back. Diamond studs in my ears, bought with my own money. Christian Louboutin heels, red bottoms that cost more than Kevin's car. I looked successful. I looked powerful. I looked like I had moved on and up. "Tiffany Williams," I said to my reflection, "let's go show these folks what generational wealth looks like." Quick question. How do you show up when you know you're about to face someone who hurt you? Dressed down or dressed up? Tell me in the comments what your power move would be. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're loving this journey. The Plaza Hotel. Kevin had really gone all out. I guess that real estate money was treating him well. My mama drove us in her Cadillac because I didn't trust myself behind the wheel. My brother Marcus sat in the passenger seat, and Auntie helped me wrangle 4 excited toddlers in the back. "Mama, where are we going?" Caleb asked for the 10th time. "To a party, baby." "Is there cake?"
Carter wanted to know.
"Yes, baby. There's cake." "Can we play?" Cameron asked quietly. "Yes, you can play." Chase just looked at me with those big brown eyes. "Why you dress fancy, Mama?" I kissed his forehead. "Because today is an important day." We pulled up to the plaza at exactly 2:15 p.m. I wanted to be late. Wanted everyone to already be there. Wanted maximum impact. The doorman looked at us, a black woman in designer clothes with 4 identical little boys, and smiled. "Good afternoon, ma'am. The Thompson baby shower?" "That's the one." He directed us to the crystal ballroom on the 2nd floor. We could hear music and laughter as we approached. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. "You good, sis?" Marcus asked, touching my shoulder. "I'm perfect," I lied. Mama took Caleb and Carter's hands. Auntie took Cameron and Chase. Marcus stood beside me. We were a unit, a family. Exactly what Kevin said I didn't understand. I pushed open the door to the ballroom. The room was decorated in pink and gold. Balloons everywhere. A champagne tower. A cake shaped like a baby. Carriage. About 50 people in expensive clothes, laughing and drinking. And there, in the center of it all, stood Kevin and Jasmine. Kevin looked good, I had to admit. Custom suit, fresh fade, that smile that had made me fall in love with him at Howard. Jasmine stood beside him in a pink maternity dress, her belly round with their daughter, her hand possessively on Kevin's arm. The room got quiet when we walked in. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. Kevin's eyes locked on mine. I watched his face go from confusion to recognition to shock as his eyes traveled from me to the 4 little boys at my side. 4 little boys who looked exactly like him. Jasmine followed his gaze. Her mouth fell open. "Tiffany." Kevin's voice cracked. What are you doing here?" I walked further into the room, my heels clicking on the marble floor. My son stayed close to my family, watching everything with wide eyes. "You invited me, Kevin, remember?" I pulled the invitation from my purse and held it up. "Said you wanted me to meet the woman who knew what family really means." I smiled. "So here I am, with our family." Kevin couldn't finish the sentence. He was staring at the boys like he'd seen ghosts. "Oh, you don't remember?" I asked, my voice sweet as honey, but sharp as a blade. "2 years ago? When I was pregnant? When you left me because I was carrying quadruplets you didn't want." The gasps in that room were everything. I watched Kevin's friends, his family, his colleagues look at him with new eyes. Jasmine grabbed Kevin's arm. "Kevin? What is she talking about?" "These are your sons, Kevin," I continued, walking closer. "Caleb, Carter, Cameron, and Chase. They're 2 years old. They love dinosaurs and Paw Patrol. Caleb wants to be an astronaut. Carter wants to be a firefighter. Cameron loves to draw, and Chase," I smiled at my youngest, "Chase wants to be just like his big brothers." Kevin's mother, Linda Thompson, pushed through the crowd. I knew Linda, had loved her like my own mother. During our marriage, she stopped when she saw the boys, her hand going to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Kevin, are these?" "They're your grandsons, Mrs. Thompson," I said gently. "The grandsons you would have known if your son had been man enough to stay."
Y'all.
The silence in that room. Have you ever witnessed someone's whole world crash down in real time? Drop a comment about the most dramatic reveal you've ever seen, because this was cinema.
And
if you're eating this up, hit that like and subscribe. Kevin found his voice. "This is insane. You can't just show up here with, 'How do I even know they're mine?'" I pulled out my phone, showed him the DNA test results I had gotten done the week before, just in case he
asked.
Simone had advised me to be prepared. 99.9% match, I said. "They're yours, Kevin. And you owe 2 years of child support. My lawyer will be contacting you Monday morning." Jasmine started crying. Not gentle tears, but full-on sobbing. "Kevin, you told me she lost the pregnancy. You said there were no kids."
Oh,
that was interesting. He told you I lost them?" I turned to Kevin. "You told your wife I lost our children?" Kevin's face had gone from shock to anger. "You kept them from me. You moved and never told me where you were." "I was in Harlem, Kevin. In my mama's house. The same house you picked me up from for our first date.
The
same house you knew about our entire marriage. You knew exactly where I was. You just didn't care enough to
look."
Marcus stepped forward. "Man, you didn't pay a single hospital bill. Not when they were in NICU for 8 weeks fighting for their lives. Not when Tiffany was going back and forth to Mount Sinai every day.
You didn't call.
You didn't text. You just disappeared." "I didn't know they survived," Kevin shouted. The room went dead silent again. "You didn't know they survived?" I repeated softly. "So you knew I had them premature. You knew they were in NICU. You just assumed they died and never bothered to check." Kevin's face told me everything. He had known. He just hadn't cared. Linda Thompson walked over to the boys. She knelt down, tears streaming down her face. Can I meet
them?"
I nodded. Mama let go of Caleb and Carter's hands. "Hi," Linda said softly. "I'm your grandma." Caleb, my brave one, stepped forward. "We never met a grandma before. Just Grandma Gloria." Linda looked up at me, and the pain in her eyes was real. "Tiffany, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Kevin told us." She looked at her son with disgust. "He told us you lost the pregnancy." Kevin's father, Robert Thompson, joined his wife. He looked at the 4 boys, then at Kevin. "Son, what have you done?" The party was completely derailed now. Guests were whispering, taking photos on their phones. I knew this would be all over social media by tonight. Kevin Thompson, successful real estate broker, exposed as a deadbeat dad who abandoned his quadruplets. Jasmine was still crying, being comforted by her mother. She kept saying, I didn't know. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. "Mama, can we have cake now?" Chase asked loudly, breaking the tension. The ballroom erupted in shocked laughter. Even some of Kevin's friends cracked smiles. I knelt down to my son's level. "Not yet, babies. But soon." Kevin's best friend, a brother named Darius who had been at our wedding, walked over to me. "Tiffany, I'm
Sorry.
We all are. Kevin told us. He shook his head. Man, he played all of us. It's not your fault, I said. But I appreciate you saying that. A woman I didn't recognize approached me. She was elegant, older, with silver hair and expensive jewelry. Excuse me, are you Tiffany Williams? The designer? I blinked. Yes. I'm Margaret Chen, Richard Chen's mother. I saw your Essence magazine feature. Your designs are beautiful. She looked at Kevin with barely concealed disgust. And it's clear you're even more beautiful inside.
Any man
who would walk away from you and these gorgeous boys is a fool. Wait, hold up. Did Kevin's own guests start taking my side? Girl, when I tell you the power shift in, that room was everything. Have you ever had a moment where the people who were supposed to support someone else ended up supporting you instead? Tell me that story in the comments.
and smash.
That like and subscribe if you're living for this energy. Linda Thompson stood up, still holding Carter's hand. She faced her son. Kevin, I raised you better than this.
I
Raised you to be a man of honor. Ma, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You cheated on your wife while she was pregnant. You abandoned her and your
children.
You lied to everyone about what happened. And now you're standing here trying to justify it. Linda shook her head. You're not the man I thought you were. Robert Thompson nodded. We'll be reaching out to you, Tiffany. About the boys. About being in their lives.
Properly.
They're our grandsons, regardless of what Kevin did. Kevin looked around the room, his perfect day completely destroyed. His reputation in shreds. His lies exposed. And I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not revenge. Just certainty that I had done the right thing. Kevin, I said quietly, our sons deserve a father. I don't know if you can be that man, but they deserve the chance to find out. My lawyer will contact you about official visitation and child support. You have 4 beautiful boys who need you. The question is, are you going to step up or are you going to run again? Before he could answer, my phone rang. It was Keisha. Boss, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you need to take this call. It's Anna Winter's office. Something about New York Fashion Week. I stepped into the hallway, my family following with my sons. As we left, I heard Kevin's mother say to him, You've got a lot of making up to do, Kevin Marcus Thompson. And I mean a lot. The ballroom door closed behind us and I answered the phone. My life was about to change again. But this time I was ready. Part 3 dropping soon. Want to know what Anna Winter wanted? Want to know if Kevin stepped up? Drop Part 3 in the comments and let me know you're still with me on this journey. Ms. Williams. The voice on the phone was professional, crisp. This is Andrea Moretti from Vogue magazine. Ms. Winter would like to schedule a meeting with you about featuring heritage threads in New York Fashion Week. I almost dropped my phone. New York Fashion Week. The show I had dreamed about since I was a little girl sketching designs on the back of my homework. The show Richard Chen had told me I'd never be ready for. Ms. Williams? Are you still there? Yes, I managed. Yes, I'm here. I would be honored to meet with Ms. Winter. Wonderful. Are you available Tuesday at 10 a.m. at our offices? I was available whenever Anna Wintour wanted me to be available. Tuesday at 10 works perfectly. When I hung up, my mama was watching me with knowing eyes. Good news, Mama, I whispered. I think I just got invited to Fashion Week. Aunt Dee let out a whoop that echoed through the plaza hallway. That's my girl. That's my girl. Marcus picked me up and spun me around while my 4 sons watched, confused but giggling at their uncles.
Excitement.
But we didn't have time to celebrate long. The ballroom door opened and Kevin came out, looking
shocked.
Tiffany, we need to talk. We have nothing to talk about without lawyers present, I said calmly. You'll hear from Simone Baker on Monday. These are my sons. Kevin's voice cracked. I can't just what? Raise them alone like I've been doing for 2 years? Pay all their bills? Stay up all night? When they're sick? Be both mother and father because you chose to disappear? I shook my head. Kevin, I'm not keeping them from you. I'm making sure that if you're in their lives, you're actually in their lives.
Not
Halfway. Not when it's convenient. All the way. Kevin looked at the four boys, who had moved closer to my mother, wary of this stranger who looked like them, but felt nothing like family. I want to meet them, he said quietly. Properly. Then you'll do it the right way. Through the court system, with a custody agreement with child support. Established, with supervised visits until you prove you're stable. I softened slightly. Kevin, I'm not trying to punish you, but I'm not going to let you hurt them the way you hurt me. Jasmine appeared in the doorway, her eyes red from crying. She looked at me, then at the boys, then back at me. I didn't know, she said. I swear to God, Tiffany, I didn't know about them. I studied her face. The woman who had been my best friend. My maid of honor. The woman I had shared everything with until she shared my husband. I believe you, I said finally. Kevin's good at lying. I know that better than anyone. Jasmine's hand went to her pregnant belly. What do I do now? That's not my problem to solve, I said, not unkindly. But I'll tell you this. Make sure you have your own money. Make sure you have your own career. Make sure you never depend on a man so much that you lose yourself. Because when he leaves, and men like Kevin always leave, you need to be able to stand on your own. Real talk, ladies. How many of you have learned that lesson the hard way? That you need your own money, your own career, your own life? Drop a comment about what made you realize you needed to be financially independent. And if this message is hitting home, hit that like and subscribe button because we're talking truth here. Linda Thompson came out of the ballroom. Tiffany, before you go, can I please get your contact information for the boys? I looked at Kevin's mother, this woman who had welcomed me into her family, who had cried happy tears at my wedding, who I had loved like a second mother. Of course, Mrs. Thompson. We exchanged numbers. Linda knelt down to the boys' level again. Can Grandma Linda give you hugs? My sons looked at me. I nodded. One by one, they hugged their grandmother. Awkward, but sweet. When Linda stood up, tears streaming down her face, she pulled me into a hug too. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for giving me a chance to know them. As we left the plaza, I felt lighter somehow. Not because of the confrontation with Kevin, but because of what was ahead. The Fashion Week opportunity. The legal establishment of my son's rights. The beginning of a new chapter. Mama? Caleb asked as we drove back to Harlem. Was that man really our daddy? All four boys were watching me, waiting for my answer. Yes, baby. That was your daddy. Why doesn't he live with us? Carter wanted to know. How do you explain adult failures to children? How do you tell them their father chose to leave? Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, I said carefully. Your daddy made some choices that hurt Mama.
but
That doesn't mean he doesn't love you. I wasn't sure if that last part was true, but they needed to believe it for now. I like Grandma Linda, Chase said. She smells like cookies. We all laughed. Leave it to my baby to find the simple joy in a complicated situation. That night, after the boys were asleep, I sat in my design studio in the brownstone and sketched. Not for the meeting on Tuesday. Not for Fashion Week. Just for me. I drew a woman standing alone, strong, surrounded by four small boys who looked up at her like she was their whole world. Because I was. I was their mother, their father, their provider, their protector. And I was enough. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Linda Thompson. I wanted to say thank you again for today. Those boys are beautiful, Tiffany. You've done an amazing job with them. If you ever need anything, babysitting, financial help, just someone to talk to, please call me. They're my grandsons. I want to be in their lives if you'll let me. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I responded. They'd love to have their Grandma Linda around.
how?
About Sunday dinner at my place. Her response came immediately. I'll bring dessert. Y'all, sometimes the best family isn't the one you marry into, it's the one that chooses to show up for your kids even when their own child won't. Have you ever had someone unexpected step up for you, or your children? Share those stories in the comments because I know I'm not the only one. And don't forget to like and subscribe. The weekend was a blur of preparation. Not just for the Tuesday meeting with Vogue, but for Sunday dinner with Linda Thompson. I cleaned my brownstone top to bottom, cooked my grandmother's famous pot roast, baked sweet potato pie. My mama noticed my nervousness. Baby girl, why you so stressed? That woman should be grateful you're letting her see those boys. I know, mama. I want her to see that we're okay. That the boys are loved and cared for. Gloria Williams took my face in her hands. Tiffany Marie Williams, you listen to me. You are an amazing mother. You are building an empire. You are doing everything right. Stop trying to prove yourself to people who should be proving themselves to you. Sunday came. Linda arrived at 1 p.m. sharp, carrying a homemade carrot cake and a bag full of presents for the boys. I hope this is okay, she said nervously. I know I should have asked, but I saw these at the toy store and it's fine, I assured her. The boys are excited to see you. Watching Linda with my sons was healing something in me I didn't know was broken. She got down on the floor to play with them. She read them stories in different character voices. She listened when they told her about their favorite cartoons. Over dinner, she apologized again. Tiffany, I need you to know that if I had known about the boys, I would have been there. Kevin told us you lost the pregnancy. I sent flowers to your mama's house. I called, but you didn't answer. I blocked all the Thompsons' numbers, I admitted. I couldn't handle any more pain. I understand. But I'm here now if you'll have me. Those boys, she looked at Caleb, Carter, Cameron, and Chase playing in the living room. They're part of me. I want to be their grandmother. The real kind, not the absent kind. What about Robert? Kevin's dad. Linda smiled sadly. Robert wants to be here too, but he's giving me time to establish the relationship first. He knows he has to earn the privilege. That's when I knew Linda Thompson was different from her son. She understood that access to my children was a privilege, not a right. Tuesday morning came too fast. I dressed in a Heritage Threads pantsuit, burgundy silk with gold buttons. Professional but creative. I wore my locks up in an elegant bun. Minimal jewelry. I wanted my work to speak louder than my appearance. Keisha met me outside the Vogue offices in One World Trade Center. You ready, boss? No. But I'm doing it anyway. We took the elevator to the 24th floor. The Vogue offices were everything I imagined. White walls covered in fashion photography, assistants in designer clothes rushing past, the energy of creativity and excellence. Andrea Moretti met us in the lobby. Ms. Williams, thank you for coming. Ms. Wintour is ready for you. My heart was pounding as we walked down the hallway to Anna Wintour's office. The woman was a legend, an icon, the gatekeeper to fashion's highest level. Andrea knocked, then opened the door. Ms. Williams is here. Anna Wintour sat behind a massive white desk, her signature bob perfect, her expression unreadable behind dark sunglasses. Ms. Williams, she said, gesturing to a chair. Sit. Tell me about Heritage Threads. For the next hour, I talked about my designs, my inspiration, my vision for celebrating Black culture through fashion. I showed her sketches, fabric samples, photos of my completed pieces. Anna listened without interruption, occasionally making notes on a tablet. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she removed her sunglasses and looked at me directly. Your work is excellent. The craftsmanship is impeccable. The designs are fresh but rooted in cultural authenticity. She paused. But what interests me more is your story. Single mother of quadruplets, building a business from nothing, creating generational wealth. That's a narrative that resonates. My story isn't what makes my designs good, I said carefully. My talent does. Anna smiled, actually smiled. You're right. And that's exactly why I want you for Fashion Week. September. Show. I'm giving you a 15-minute slot. Can you create a full collection in 3 months? 3 months. 15 minutes. New York Fashion Week. Yes, I heard myself say. I can do it.
Good.
Andrea will send you the details. Anna stood, signaling the meeting was over. Ms. Williams, the fashion industry needs more designers like you. Black women who don't wait for permission to be excellent. Who build their own tables when they're not invited to others. Don't waste this opportunity. I won't. Thank you, Ms. Winter. As Keisha and I left the building, we both started screaming in the lobby. Security looked at us like we were crazy, but we didn't care. We're going to Fashion Week, Keisha shouted. We're going to Fashion Week, I shouted back. Y'all, have you ever manifested something so hard it actually happened? When have you gotten an opportunity that felt impossible? Tell me about your biggest professional win in the comments.
And if
you're celebrating with me, please hit that like and subscribe because this journey is just getting started. That night, I called my mama and told her everything. Baby girl, I'm so proud of you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Your grandmother would be so proud. Building something from nothing, taking care of your babies, standing on your own 2 feet. I couldn't have done it without you, Mama. Without you watching the boys. Without you believing in me. That's what mothers do. We hold our daughters up until they remember they got wings. Over the next 3 months, I barely slept. I designed a 22-piece collection inspired by the Harlem Renaissance, by Black joy, by the strength of Black women who came before me. I hired 3 more seamstresses. I worked with a photographer for my lookbook. I planned every detail of my Fashion Week show. And through it all, Kevin was trying to establish a relationship with his sons. The court had ordered supervised visitation, 2 hours every Saturday at a child activity center in Midtown. Linda attended every visit, making sure Kevin actually showed up. The first visit was awkward. The boys didn't know this man. They called him Mr. Kevin and stayed close to Linda. But Kevin, to his credit, kept showing up. He brought books and read to them. He played with dinosaurs. He learned their favorite foods, their favorite shows, their different personalities. By the 3rd month, Carter had started calling him Daddy Kevin. The others followed. I watched from the observation room. My heart conflicted. Part of me was glad my sons were getting to know their father. Part of me was still angry at Kevin for wasting 2 years. Simone had established child support, $4,000 a month for 4 children. Kevin had also agreed to pay all medical expenses and contribute to college funds. It was more than fair, and surprisingly, he paid it without complaint. He's trying, Linda told me one Saturday. I know it doesn't make up for the past, but he's trying. I can see that, I admitted. The boys are starting to trust him. Thank you for giving him the chance. I know you didn't have to. I looked at my 4 sons playing with their father, laughing at his silly dinosaur voices. I didn't do it for him.
I did it for them.
They deserve to know their daddy, even if their daddy doesn't deserve them. The night before my Fashion Week show, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my design studio, looking at the collection, hanging on racks. 22 pieces that represented everything I had been through, everything I had overcome. My phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. Good luck tomorrow. The boys won't stop talking about seeing Mama's dresses on TV. You've built something amazing, Tiff. I'm sorry I wasn't there to see it happen. But I'm glad you did it anyway. You never needed me. You just needed to believe in yourself. I stared at that text, surprised by the honesty. Surprised by the acknowledgement. I didn't respond. Some words didn't need a response. The next morning, I woke up at 4 a.m. to prepare for the show. Hair, makeup, final fittings with my models. The venue was a converted warehouse in Chelsea, transformed into an ethereal space with golden lighting and live jazz music. My mama arrived with the boys at noon, all dressed in matching heritage thread suits I had designed for them. Linda and Robert Thompson came too. Even Marcus and Auntie showed up. Keisha was managing the backstage chaos like a pro. Models are ready. Music is cued. Press is seated.
Tiff.
You got this. At 2 p.m., the lights dimmed. The music started. And my first model walked out. The collection told a story. From struggle to strength. From broken to beautiful. From victim to victor. The final piece was a wedding dress, not white, but gold. Representing not marriage to a man, but commitment. To yourself. To your dreams. To your worth. When the final model walked, the audience stood. They clapped. They cheered. Anna Winter, sitting front row, nodded once. One single nod that meant everything. I walked out for my bow, tears streaming down my face. And there in the audience were my 4 sons, standing. On their chairs, clapping and screaming. That's my mama. This was my moment. My triumph. My proof that Kevin Thompson hadn't broken me. He had just revealed who I always was. Part 4 final chapter coming up. Want to see how this all ends? Drop Part 4 in the
comments.
You've come this far with me. Let's finish this journey together. 6 months after Fashion Week, my life looked nothing like it did when Kevin left me. Heritage Threads had expanded from my Harlem studio to a 3-floor boutique on 5th Avenue. The Fashion Week show had generated $2 million in orders. I had been featured in Vogue, Essence, and the New York
Times.
Department stores were calling. Celebrities were wearing my designs. But the biggest change wasn't my business. It was me. I stood in my new 5th Avenue store, watching my team help customers, and felt something I hadn't felt in
years. Peace.
Not happiness, that was still coming in waves, on good days and hard days.
But peace.
The kind that comes from knowing you survived the worst and came out stronger. Ms. Williams, my assistant manager, a brilliant young woman named Zara, approached me.
The
photographer from Forbes is here for your interview. Forbes magazine. 40 under 40. The same list that Kevin had been on last year. Give me 5 minutes, I said. I walked to my office, a beautiful space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking 5th Avenue, and called. My mama. Hey baby girl, she answered. How's your day? I'm about to do the Forbes interview. That's my girl. You nervous? No, I realized. I'm not. I'm just grateful. That's growth right there, Mama said. 3 years ago, you were crying in your childhood bedroom, pregnant and alone. Now look at you. Couldn't have done it without you. You did it all yourself, Tiffany. I just held space for you to find your strength. After we hung up, I checked my phone. A text from Kevin. The boys are asking if they can come to your store. After school. Can I bring them by? Over the past 6 months, Kevin had become a consistent presence in his sons' lives. Every Saturday visit. Every Wednesday dinner. Every school event. He had moved from supervised visits to overnight weekends. The boys had their own rooms at his new apartment in Brooklyn, a smaller, more modest place than the brownstone he'd tried to take from me. He and Jasmine had separated 3 months ago. She'd had their daughter, a beautiful little girl named Joy, and immediately realized Kevin wasn't ready to be a present father to any child. She'd moved back to North Carolina with her family. I didn't feel sorry for her, but I didn't feel vindicated either. Just sad that another woman had learned the hard way what I already knew. Sure, I texted back. 4 p.m. works. They can help me reorganize the children's section. My sons loved coming to Mama's fancy store, as Carter called it. They would run around touching fabrics, asking questions about sewing machines, drawing designs on the back of receipt paper. The Forbes interview went well. The journalist, a Black woman named Simone Jackson, asked about my journey, my inspiration, my plans for the future. What would you say to women who are going through what you went through? She asked. Women who are being left, betrayed, told they're not enough. I thought about that question.
Really thought about it.
I'd tell them the truth. It's going to hurt. It's going to feel impossible. There will be days when you don't want to get out of bed, when you don't see a way forward. I paused. But you have to do it anyway. Not because you're strong, though you are. Not because you're capable, though you are. But because your children are watching. Your daughters are watching. Your sisters are watching. And they need to see that when a man breaks your heart, he doesn't break your spirit. Y'all, let me ask you this. Who in your life needs to hear this message right now?
Who do you know that's
Going through something and needs to be reminded of their strength? Tag them in the comments. Send this video to them. Let them know they're not alone. And if you needed to hear this, hit that like and subscribe because we're building a community of strong women here. After the interview, I had a meeting with a potential investor. A venture capital firm wanted to buy 30% of Heritage Threads for $10 million. $10 million. More money than I had ever imagined. My lawyer, Simone Baker, sat across from me in the conference room. It's a good offer, Tiffany. You could take it, expand nationally, maybe even internationally. Or, I asked, because I could hear the hesitation in her voice. Or you could maintain full ownership, grow slower, but keep complete creative control. I looked out the window at Fifth Avenue, at the people walking past my store, at the Heritage Thread sign, hanging above the door. I'm keeping full ownership, I said. This is my legacy for my sons. I'm not selling it. Simone smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. At 4 p.m., Kevin arrived with the boys. All four of them ran into the store, their voices echoing in the high ceiling space. Mama, they shouted in unison. I knelt down and they crashed into me, for little bodies full of energy and love. This was why I fought so hard. These four faces looking at me like I hung the moon. Kevin stood back, watching. He looked different than he had a year ago at the baby shower. Humbler. Tired in a way that parenthood makes you tired. Can we talk for a minute? He asked. We went to my office while Zara helped the boys pick out new outfits for their upcoming school pictures. Kevin sat across from my desk, looking nervous. I owe you an apology. A real one. Kevin. No, let me say this. He took a deep breath. When I left you, I told myself I was doing the right thing. That I couldn't handle 4 kids. That you were too focused on your career. I made you the villain in my story, so I could justify what I did. I said nothing, just listened. But the truth is, I was scared. Scared of responsibility. Scared of having to grow up. Scared that 4 kids meant my life was over before it really started. He looked at me. I was wrong. About everything. You weren't the problem. I was. Why are you telling me this now? I asked quietly. Because the boys ask me why we're not a family. They ask why I don't live with you. And I had to look at them and admit the truth, that I gave up the best thing that ever happened to me because I was too immature to handle it. I leaned back in my chair. Kevin, I appreciate the apology. I do. But it doesn't change anything. We're not getting back together. That's not what this is about. I know, he said quickly. That's not what I'm asking. I just wanted you to know that I see you now. I see what you built, what you sacrificed, what you did for our sons. And I'm sorry I wasn't there to help you do it. The boys love you, I said. That's what matters now. We can't change the past, but we can make sure their future is different. Kevin nodded, standing to leave. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, Tiffany, you were always enough. I just wasn't. After he left, I sat in my office for a long time processing. I had wanted to hear those words for so long. Wanted. The acknowledgement, the apology, the admission. But now that I had it, I realized I didn't need it anymore. My worth wasn't tied to Kevin's recognition. It never had been. Have you ever gotten the apology you waited years for, only to realize you'd already moved past it? That's growth, sis. That's healing. Drop a comment if you've been there. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We're almost at the end of this journey together. That evening, I took the boys to dinner at Sylvia's in Harlem. Our tradition, every Friday. Soul food, laughter, family time. Mama, are you famous? Caleb asked, watching people point and whisper as we entered. No, baby. I'm just doing what I love. But people know you, Carter added. Like Beyoncé. I laughed. Not quite like Beyoncé. Close enough, Cameron said seriously, and we all cracked up. As we ate fried chicken and mac and cheese, I looked at my 4 sons and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. 3 years ago, I thought my life was over. Thought Kevin leaving meant I had failed. But I had built an empire, raised 4 incredible boys, became the woman I was always meant to be. My phone buzzed. An email from Anna Winter's office. Subject line: Paris Fashion Week invitation. I opened it with shaking hands. They wanted heritage threads for Paris Fashion Week.
Paris,
The fashion capital of the world. Mama, why you crying? Chase asked, concerned. Happy tears, baby. These are very happy tears. That night, after putting the boys to bed, I sat in my design studio and sketched. Not for Paris. Not for investors. Or buyers or magazines. Just for me. I drew a woman standing on top of a mountain, her arms spread wide, the sun rising behind her. At her feet were 4 small figures holding hands, looking up at her. The woman looked like me.
strong, proud, free.
I titled the sketch Unbreakable, because that's what I was. What we all were. Black women who turned pain into power, betrayal into businesses, heartbreak into heritage. Kevin had wanted to show me what a real family looked like. Instead, I showed him what a real woman becomes when you underestimate her.
We don't just survive, sis.
We rise. We build. We create generational wealth from generational pain. And we teach our daughters and our sons that nobody, no man, no obstacle, no betrayal, gets to define our worth. We define ourselves. 3 years after Kevin left me pregnant and alone, I stood on 5th Avenue with my 4 sons, my successful business, my peace of mind, and my unshakable faith in myself. I had won, not by getting him back, but by becoming someone who didn't need him at all. The Yendi, so that's my story, y'all. From broken to blessed. From betrayed to boss. If this resonated with you, if you saw yourself in my journey, or if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this video. Leave a comment about your own journey. Like and subscribe, because we're building a community of women who refuse to stay down. And remember, your ex-husband's rejection is God's protection. What's meant for you will never miss you. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply becoming the best version of yourself. I'm Tiffany Williams, and this is my testimony. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being part of this journey. Heritage Threads isn't just a clothing line. It's a movement, and you're all part of it. Stay blessed, stay focused, and stay unbothered.
Peace.